Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Monday Night Book Club. Uh, Let me make sure that we're being seen and heard tonight. And let me see. Okay, mic's working, and it looks like the video's working. Can you hear me and see me? Hello, people. All right, there we go. Yeah, we're live. All right. So we got it worked out. Thank you very much. Although I was putting my mic on and I knocked off that little fuzzy cap. And so I have no idea where it is. I'll have to tear this area apart tonight, tomorrow morning, and find my little fuzzy cap so that things look good. So, good evening. Let me see who all we've got here. I need glasses. Uh, One of the bad things about getting older is you lose your eyesight. Um, so I know that we have Scott Hummer. Yes, he was the very first one. Then we have Little Lone Prepper and Shenanigans. Good evening. And let me see who else. Cats and Prepping. Good evening. And all right, Laura Leslie G. Good evening to you too. So let's take a look at this. Good news. We did that volume 3 or book 3 of John Grammer's books, and so hopefully we're going to have book 4 out before the end of summer. And we'll see if we can't get that on the list and read that. I did see that one of my friends ordered all 3 of John's books, and thank you so much for that because I think he's a great author, and I think you'll really enjoy his work. I do have an announcement for our book club for this month, and I'll put a link for it in the show notes. We're doing Blaine Pardoe's A Most Uncivil War. Let me tell you, I equate Blaine Pardoe's, the original book in this series is Blue Dawn. I equate that to 1984. I mean, it is so 1984ish, it is pitiful. And you're going to see a lot of current politicians, by character at least, as the antagonists in that series. And they continue on in this one. So far, I've gotten that far into it, but it's a great book. If it continues on in the same vein as the first one, it's going to be a phenomenal book. So I strongly, strongly recommend it. Pick it up, read it. Let's do this one for the month of June. What else have I got? Oh, I'm reading this one too, Surviving the Coming War. So this is a getting ready for our next nonfiction. And this one is pretty doggone good too. Lots of great ideas. Don't have that much tabbed, but I do have a lot of highlights. So far. So that's a fantastic book. But tonight we're kind of focusing on Survival Theory by Jonathan Hollerman and the preparedness guide. And we're working on chapters 5 and 6 this evening. So the title of chapter 5 is Life After Losing the Electric Grid. And chapter 6 is, and that chapter is only like 4 pages long. How would a grid down scenario affect you personally? Kind of timely. I don't know if you've been keeping up with the news or not, but evidently yesterday, the Ukrainians had some drones that they put inside some shipping containers or inside the top of a box truck, something with a false ceiling. And they drove them in fairly close. And as everything was happening on the news channel I was watching, I said, guys, those things have line of sight control. So they either had satellite control or they had an airborne command and control plane that could look down and guide them. But they had somebody in line of sight of those UAVs had to have control over them. So them being launched from a truck right there in the immediate vicinity of where they struck makes a lot of sense. So evidently they launched on 4 different Air Force bases, took out approximately 40 Tupolev 95s and 22s. It's the Bear and the Bison. So the 95 is the Bear. That's the one that they used primarily in the Cold War. That's one we figured would be launching over the U.S. Uh, Anytime you see a NATO code name, if it's one syllable, then it's propeller driven. If it's two syllables then or more, then it's a jet driven aircraft. So the Tu-95 is the Bear, propeller driven, and the Tu-22, gosh, now I'm going to forget. I think it's Tu-22 is the Bison, which is a jet aircraft. And then they have the Tu-190 also. But they took out about 40 of those. They took out about 30 some odd percent of the Russian strategic bomber force in one strike. There was also an explosion or two in Novosibirsk, which is their port for their submarine, their Atlantic ballistic missile fleet, submarine fleet. And they said that it was a natural gas explosion. There are some claims that it was an attack on the submarine pins. Don't know, but it would make sense that they would take those out as well. That would be 2 out of the 3 legs of their triad. And so today, Russia has been doing a massive retaliatory strike against Kyiv. God, my hair looks really terrible. I need a haircut. So they got that going on. If you watch Space Weather News, then he announced yesterday there was an X-class CME that had been launched towards Earth. It's going to be arriving this evening and all day tomorrow. So the speed of it is getting here just in time. So we do have a high-level CME that is hitting the Earth, and that can cause some interference, depending upon how the Earth is rotating in comparison to when it hits, and what areas will be affected. Not a Carrington-level event, we don't think. So we're pretty safe there. We've also had Mount Etna begin erupting. We've got some stuff going on at Campo-Fliegre, which is just north of Mount Etna. We've got some stuff going on in Yellowstone from Mary Greeley News. We've got Mount St. Helens they say is fully recharged and ready to blow again. So we got all kinds of interesting stuff going on. Will this CME have enough of an impact on the Earth to cause some of those other things to happen? We don't know. But let's get into what Jonathan says we need to do in anticipation of it. So I see Leslie G. Good evening. Welcome. Sumi. Wow, you made it home. All right. I figured you'd still be either at work or driving home from work. So welcome. Good to see you. Amphioxerus, good evening. Let me see if there's anybody else I missed. Leslie G. Wow. Okay, we're getting up there. I'm showing 15 people. Only 5 of you like me, but that's okay. Hurts my feelings, but that's okay. No, just kidding. Chapter 5, Life After Losing the Electric Grid. So, one of the things we have to take a look at is imagine all the stuff that's powered by electricity. If we go back to a Carrington level event, it's going to be cataclysmic. And the reason is because we are so dependent upon electricity today, more so than we were back in the late 1800s when the Carrington event happened. And back then, all we had was Morse, the Morse telegraph lines. Now we've got everything we do, manufacture of medicines, hospital care, so many electrically operated medicinal devices, medical devices, CPAPs, kidney dialysis, the manufacture of medications, so much stuff. Then, of course, transportation and the distillation of fuel, gasoline, dispensing fuel. Sewage is the one that's got me scared. We saw what happened in Katrina, and without an electrical power grid to power the waste production, the waste, what are we calling it? Sanitation, waste disposal. There we go. Waste disposal of human waste. That's going to be cataclysmic. I mean, there are so many things that are totally dependent upon electricity that it's going to be a terrible event if we lose our electricity. And I've got to get, for most of my life I wore glasses. And then about 15 years ago, I had cataract surgery. And they replaced both my lenses with artificial lenses so that I had 20/20 vision like you would not believe. And it was great. I do have to wear readers. But now that I'm getting older and my eyes are, the diffraction is changing, I have to start wearing glasses to drive now. So it looks like everything's coming back, but that's okay. Um, so EMP Commissioner Lowell Wood calls an EMP attack a giant continental time machine that will move us back more than a century in technology to the late 1800s. The problem is that our infrastructure is completely different than it was in the 1800s. Like I just said, we aren't set up to live like they did 150 years ago. And you can take a look at simple things like up until 1930, uh, we were still primarily a horse-drawn country. We didn't have that much trucking and automobiles and everything else. We were still pretty much a horse-drawn country. The vast majority of both the Soviet and the German military juggernaut in World War II, as late as 1945, were horse-drawn or horse cavalry. Just unbelievable the number of wagons they had that were pulled by horses. We don't have any now. So if we lose the capability to use trucks and automobiles, we don't have the saddlery people. We don't have the wagon masters. We don't have the capability to make horse-drawn wagons. And if we did, okay, we'd need our modern hand tools that are powered by electricity. So, I mean, we are going to be back before, before the 1800s. We're going to really go back as far as time machine goes. And the U.S. government won't be able to do anything about it. Electrical production, distribution, transmission, it's not going to be there. We aren't going to have electricity. So chapter 6, how is it going to affect you personally? Most supermarkets don't operate storerooms anymore. It's all JIT, just-in-time inventory. So when you check out at the cash register, not only does it print the name of the item on your receipt, but it puts it into their inventory and says, hey, we order a replacement for this, so that it goes to the distribution center, and the next day or that evening, they get a can in to replace the can that you purchased. So it's all just in time. There are no more back rooms. They don't have any storage back in the back that we can pilfer through if anything were to happen. And so that most supermarkets have maybe a maximum of 3 days for. Looks nice.
Okay.
Ellen has a new dress, and she wanted to know how it looked. So
I wanted to know if it looked like it fit.
it looks like it fits. So just-in-time inventory, and we'll have a hard time getting food back out. Now, there are some distribution centers, that humongous distribution centers. When I had my emergency food service, responding to things like Katrina and other disasters, I used Cisco Systems, and I used Benny Keith, and I used other food suppliers, Kraft Foods. They would deliver food to me. And if you've ever been to one of their warehouses, oh my gosh, acres upon acres of freezers and refrigerators. Look at all the spoiled food if electricity goes down. But that's where we got our food from. There's no communications. So most communication systems probably have a generator backup of some sort. Patty's Garden, good evening, welcome. They're going to have some sort of backup, maybe 24, 48, 72 hours worth of backup. When I worked in the distribution field, an electric co-op, we had a 500-gallon underground diesel tank, and we had to cycle the diesel every once in a while. But should we lose power at a power company, then the diesel generator kicked in, so that we could distribute through SCADA where we wanted the power to go in those lines. That we only had 72 hours worth of diesel. Once that diesel runs out, if we don't have new power into the lines, then we can't do anything. So even the transmission and distribution of power loses its capability without power. Worse than that, without power, there are no pumps to circulate the water in our nuclear power plants, and that's the cooling that takes place to keep the core from going critical. So unless you have an emergency shutdown and drop in all the barium rods to control the amount of radioactive heat, then they're going to go into a meltdown. We're going to have all kinds of Fukushimas and Chernobyls happening throughout the U.S. So we want to make sure that that is handled correctly as well. There won't be any emergency services, and that's one that scares me. Not that we won't have any EMTs or won't have any police officers, but it scares me we won't have any firefighting capabilities. Imagine the number of people who are going to be tempted to cook indoors with camping items and the fires that that's going to start. Imagine a number of people who don't know how to properly take care of a candle, or who have young children who's going to knock a candle over. Mrs. O'Leary's lantern in Chicago in the late 1800s or early 1900s, whenever that was, when half of Chicago burnt down. All because of a lantern, an oil lantern that fell over and ignited a fire. They didn't have the firefighting capabilities we have, that we won't have either, and the close proximity of the homes, they just burnt down. Take a look at what happened in Los Angeles just recently, the wildfires that happened there and all the homes that were lost, simply because they were so close to each other and there was no way to effectively fight them. So fire becomes a hazard. Some of the things that scare me: fire, and we won't have firefighting capabilities. Then the disposal of human waste, we won't have that either. So your sewage won't go anywhere. I just watched a fantastic video. I'll see if I can't find it. It's an hour long, but it's an interview of a guy who survived Asheville and the flooding in Asheville. And he advises that if you're into higher elevation, as long as you can get water to put in the tank or to pour into the bowl, then that will flush and it'll go down to the lowest level, which will be where the collection and processing plants are. It may overflow there, but it's not your problem because you're flushing your tank. We're up on top of the hill here, so, and yes, the collection and processing is probably 150 feet lower in elevation than we are, so I'm not that worried about it getting up here to us. We'll probably do the same thing. Although I do have a whole bunch of 5-gallon buckets that I purchased. I've got 2 of them off of Rainy Day Foods, and it's called the Lug of a Loo. And I got 1 off of Amazon. So I had 3. I gave 1 to my daughter. She gave it back when she moved to New Jersey. And then I had 2 here. 1 was going to be strictly for solids, and the other was going to be for liquids. I was going to separate it that way. But so the processing of human waste is going to be another critical thing, because think of all the disease that's going to have, and the fact that we are not going to have access to good medical care. And that's the next paragraph. There are no hospitals, and there won't be any medicine. So make sure you get your Jace case or your contingency medical supplies now, and make sure you keep those up to date. Make sure you have plenty of over-the-counter medications. I'm doing a short. It'll probably be out probably the day I'm in surgery, Thursday, maybe Friday, and it's called gut health. That's all we have to be concerned about. Anytime you change your diet, and if we don't have refrigeration, we don't have fresh meat, you aren't going to go to the grocery store and get fresh produce or fresh fruits. You're going to be living off of canned goods. You're going to be living off of freeze-dried foods, dehydrated foods. Anytime you change your diet like that, especially drastically, if you don't move your way into it. When I went to Korea, when I went to Germany, the 3 times I went to Germany, Korea, Southeast Asia, when I went to China, to Hong Kong, when I went to Japan, when I went to Penang, Malaysia, Singapore, every time I went to a foreign country, my gut reacted to the different eating environment that I was in. Now, I'm not going to predict how your gut's going to react. Sometimes I would get constipated. Sometimes I got the opposite. I got, Stalin's revenge. And but your gut does react to different eating environments. And so as we change over in a post-apocalyptic world from fresh fruits, fresh veggies, fresh meats, to dehydrated, freeze-dried, canned goods, your gut is going to have a reaction as well. So make sure you have the proper medications to deal with that as you're going through this process. It will eventually adapt. But that period between the rapid change and the final adaptation is going to be strenuous for you. It's going to cost you some angst. Let me see. Your house will not protect you like it has in the past. And so what we're talking about here is protecting you from the elements. Here in Texas, we've already had 200-degree plus days. We've got high humidity. We've got high temperatures. It was 98 here today. So Helen, if you notice here, Helen, we keep the house at 74 in the summer. So the air conditioner is cooling it down to 74. I wear a sweat jacket inside my house because I like to have it about 78. Helen, on the other hand, prefers it at 74. I keep it cool for her. If we lose electricity, we're not going to be able to keep the house at 74. I can guarantee you that. Now I've got a window or a bedroom air conditioner that runs on 110. We've got fans. We've got all these other things, but it's not going to be 74. I can guarantee you. Likewise, in the winter, and that's what scares me more. I think more people will die of exposure to cold than will from exposure to heat. But in the winter, our houses aren't made for wood stoves or for things like that anymore. So you're going to have to devise new ways to heat your home in a safe way that does not produce any carbon monoxide, or you're going to freeze to death. That's all there is to it. So I would love to find a house that was built, let's say, in the 1930s, that still has charcoal or a wood stove, wood burning stove, or something. I would love to have my grandmother's house. But this house I have here, it's designed for internal or for recirculating air conditioning. It's designed for recirculating heating. Everything is sealed. There's no fresh air coming in, no fresh air going, or no stale air being kicked out. It's atrocious. It's going to be terrible in the event of a grid down situation. Okay, if you rely on city sewage, it'll likely back up into your home over time. And like I said, that depends upon your elevation vis-a-vis the elevation of your sewage processing center. Don't rely on your vehicle to get you out of Dodge. Let me tell you, in this book, he talks a lot about getting out of Dodge, about evacuations. One of the things he points out, and I saw this during Katrina, Interstate 45, and we've modified things since then. We had certain evacuation routes, hurricane evacuation routes out of Houston. So Katrina, Wilma, other hurricanes that have come in, those evacuation routes, 3 lanes north on I-45 from a city of 8 million people, it ain't going to happen. There were cars didn't have gas dying in the middle of the street. So you had to maneuver around those. They had to get wreckers in and pull the stalled vehicles out of the street. Average speed on I-45 between Houston going up to Dallas during the hurricane evacuation was 4 miles an hour. You're not going to get far. Make sure you have plenty of gasoline. Make sure that you have plenty of stuff in your car that you can pull over and watch everybody else suffer as they run out of gas up the road, because you're not going to get very far at all. One of the things that we did learn from Wilma, I believe it was that now we've got 5 lanes northbound and only 1 lane southbound in the event of a hurricane evacuation. So they're going to take 2 of the 3 southbound lanes on I-45 and turn them into northbound lanes. But we're barely doubling. We're not even doubling the amount of northbound traffic, and that's not going to do us very much good. So almost everything else out of Houston is east-west or southwest, going down towards the coast. Okay. You won't have lights when it's dark outside, so make sure you have plenty of candles and flashlights. That I keep a whole stash over here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me see. I've got within reach. I've got my Arcfo. I've got a Nebo. Let me see. I've got another Nebo, an Olight, another Olight, and another Nebo. I don't know who makes this one. E-Tech City. This is one of those lanterns. So, so I am so light conscious that I have a cacophony of flashlights over here within arm's reach should I need them. Put those back. Yeah, okay. So, and then next to my bed on the nightstand, I have two flashlights. I have another one of those lanterns. I have a candelier from, I forget the name of the company, but it's got a candle inside a lantern type of a setup, and I want to say Ubo or Ubo or Ebo or something like that. But anyhow, so I have a candle there as well. Okay. Make sure you have the ability to procure and process water and purify it. That's going to be critical. So one of the things that I did was I showed it on a short where I showed my get home bag. I have a clip that I bought from Night Eyes, and that clip fits perfectly over the lip of a 1 liter water bottle that you can get in any convenience store. So that way I have my 1 liter Seychelles water bottle with purification system in it. I also have the ability to have another liter of water, so I can carry 2 liters of water with me at all times. So make sure you have plenty of water. I strongly recommend that. And if anybody tries to sell you dehydrated water, don't buy it, because it's only good until if you add water to it. Uko is the name of it. Thank you, Laura. You got me close. Uko Candelier is the name of it. One of the things that's pointed out in this book that I really like that he's talking about is take the smallest road you can find. Avoid interstates, toll roads, 6-lane roads. If you can find alleys and back roads and dirt roads especially, nobody wants to go there. That's going to be basically yours, according to him. And so you're going to have a lot better access. You're also going to have a higher chance of encountering roadblocks on the roads that most people think are more convenient. U.S. highways, state highways, county highways, interstates, toll roads. Whereas the dirt roads, they don't think it's going to be worth their time to set up a toll booth, because there aren't going to be that many people taking it. So, so use the worse the road, the better off it'll be for you. He says, try to follow water sources as much as possible. Oh, one of the things that he talks about in this book is he also recommends taking a look at the high power lines, because they have to keep those cut clear. So that should be pretty smooth sailing as well. Okay, so and I've got this highlighted here a couple pages back. Let me. So I'm going to go back about 5 pages, and it says, and this is in caps and bold, so I highlighted it. It says the average desperate starving American will kill you if you have food and they find you. I don't care how protected you think your home is, you will eventually be overrun. Amen. You've got to plan for the fact that you're going to be the fat king in the land of the emaciated. The minute people think you have something that they absolutely need to survive, their life is already forfeit. As far as they're concerned, they're already dead. So they'll do anything and everything they can to stay alive. And that means taking the food from you, even if you offer it to them. So, just be aware of that. So let me see what he says up here. He says, okay, I guarantee, with no chances of getting resupplied, are you going to give your hungry neighbor some of your child's food? That was nice of you. I guarantee they will come back for more every single day until you run out of supplies or the energy to help them. If you refuse them, and from the get-go, they will probably beg and cry for help. They will even use their sick baby or elderly mother to play on your heartstrings. How heartless can you be? If you still refuse that neighbor with the hungry and thirsty family down the street, they will get mad and demand you help them. At what point does demand get into um, physical violence? So, you've got to take that into consideration as you're getting all this taken care of. Now, if you think if you think you're going to Rambo it yourself, it ain't going to happen. You've got to sleep sometime. If you think you and your wife can do it by yourself, at some point she's got to sleep, or at some point you've got to sleep. And if she's got to sleep and she's the tactical one, are you going to be able to protect her? Vice versa. If you're the one who's asleep and she's doing the guarding, is she capable of being the tactical person? If not, then consider adding more people to that group. I'm having lunch with an age-old friend. Gosh, I've known him probably 30 years, and we haven't talked about this before. But I'm going to be talking to him Wednesday. I'm taking my thumb drive, okay, with all of my instructions on here's what you need to do. But if anything happens, come to my place. And so if he wants to take a look at that, that's fine. If he doesn't, that's fine too. But I realize I need at least 10 people here in my house in order to do what I need to get done. I need 5 of those to be active, experienced shooters, and then we'll try to train the other people as well. So, but then I keep telling you, every advantage has a disadvantage. So just think of all the waste, the human waste that's going to be accumulating if you have 10 people in one house. Think of all the water supply that you have to have. That guy I told you about who did, no, that was a different video that I watched. A guy did a 30-day MRE and freeze-dried foods from Wise Foods, I believe it was, only eating. And he was talking about how his water consumption went. I took notes. Let me see. I've got it written down here. He drank half a gallon of water a day. He used a third of a gallon of water a day to cook his freeze-dried meals. Then he used a sixth of a gallon a day to clean his pots and pans that he used to cook the food. And then he said jet boil was worthless because he needed something different and it took too long. He said that he went through 2 jet boil canisters and 3 1-pound propane canisters for Coleman during the time. So it was 1 can per person per week. So for planning purposes, to heat the water to add to your freeze-dried food or your dehydrated food, you're going to need the fuel to do it as well. So a lot of stuff here that we really need to take into consideration. I saw something I want to comment on up here. I see, but I want to catch up on the conversation. I see the conversation about rapid radio. So remember that rapid radio is basically internet dependent. So if we lose electricity, you've lost your rapid radio. Let me see. Yes, absolutely. You thought, Mike, build up your community now. Whoops, this doesn't work like Hey, Pete, Triple G Farms, welcome. Good to see you. Welcome home. I know you've been on the road a lot here with your work here recently. Okay. Yeah. So I keep a list not only of my foods, I also keep a spreadsheet of all my different fuels. Now, going back, if I could, I've got the green 1-pound propane tanks. I've got the 1 or 12-ounce butane tanks that go into my single burner stove, indoor single burner stove. I've got the chafing dishes, chafing heat. Now it's only warmer. It's not going to cook. You have to use the sterno, the outdoor sterno, to get it to a cooking temperature. So I've got both the sterno and then I've got the chafing dish fuel. Both of those, one's indoor, one's outdoor. Then I've got the white gas for my Coleman stove. That's outdoor. I've got another Coleman stove that uses the butane. That's outdoor. It's no, propane's outdoor. Butane's indoor. I mean, when you take a look at my fuel supply, all the different types of fuel and everything else, it would be so nice if somebody would just come up with one system of cooking, heating, and everything else that uses one source of fuel, and then everything would be great from there. That's the reason I haven't bought a jet boil, is I just don't want to have to start getting another stockpile of different types of fuel. I mean, I really want one. They look like a really nice piece of equipment, but I don't know. It just, gosh, getting another type of fuel does not entice me at all. Okay. And then you have to be careful, because remember, if you stockpile too much fuel and you're in violation of fire code and your house burns, then the insurance company can deny you a fire claim. So, yeah, here's another one. He has bolded and capitalized. They will notice that you are eating and they aren't, and they will come for your food eventually. Okay, this is in reference, I think it was Patty's Gardens who said that this is making you feel scared. So he says here, a lot of the, quote, experts will say that I am fear-mongering or exaggerating on how bad it'll be. That they say Americans will work together and we'll get through it. They don't understand human suffering and have no experience dealing with starving people. Starving Americans will act no differently than starving people in the Congo or Mogadishu. So I want to kind of, what have we learned? Okay, take a look at toilet paper during the pandemic. Take a look at sanitary wipes. What do they call them? We pull them out of the container, and alcohol swabs, and all the different things that we could not get during the pandemic. How people fought over that. Take a look at what they do for Good Friday sales, for Pete's sake. Take a look at when there's eggs, when the eggs were in shortage, people were hoarding eggs. I can't believe that. It's a commodity that has a limited shelf life. But you get the idea. I mean, look at your fellow human being and how they act in order to get things that they want or need. So that's why you have to, I want to encourage you, be as clandestine as possible in what you have and who you share that information with, okay? Just OPSEC is the key, operation security is the key. The less people know, the better off you are. Now, keep that to your group of people, your select group of people, but make sure that they have a vested interest in it. So, for example, in this thumb drive that I'm going to be giving John on Wednesday, basically it says, don't bother coming unless you have the following things, okay? Your own cot, your own sleeping bag. I want you to have a full case of number 10 cans of flour from the LDS Provident Living Center. I want you to have another case, one spaghetti bites, one macaroni, one white beans, one pinto beans, so one carrots, one apples, one strawberries. So I've got all these things. A case of chili. I don't care whether it's Armour or Wolf Brand, but make it so that if you're coming, you're providing something. And oh, by the way, I have a limit. Bring your own toilet paper, because I'm only going to give you 12 squares a day for males, and I'm going to give you 36 squares a day for females. Okay, so if you want more than 12 squares a day and you're a guy, you better bring your own, because that's all I'm going to give you. So you make sure you make those things clear up front. You need to understand that life after grid going dark will probably be 10 times worse than what he's explaining. There will be 300 plus million Americans facing the same horrific questions you do. Where do I go? What do I do? How will I survive? So that's that, and that's kind of the end of this chapter, the second chapter that we wanted to talk about. But I think that's that whole thing I've been harping on And it's reinforced here in this book. It's reinforced in the other book that I'm reading here. There's going to be this die-off period. Okay, so I'm going to call it. Let's call it 6 weeks. From the day that SHTF happens until the next 6 weeks, people may have up to 3 weeks food in their house, but it's going to take about 3 weeks for them to starve to death. Okay, so that means you've got a period of 6 weeks where you don't want anybody to know you're alive, except for your group. You don't want anybody to know that you're eating or cooking. That's why you want to have blackout curtains. You don't want people to know you have lights or electricity. You want to have stuff that all you're going to do is heat water and add it to it, or an MRE where you don't have to do anything. That way there's no odor, either of you cooking, the fuel that you're using inside your house, or the odor of the food itself being prepared. You just want to have instant stuff, whatever it is, that lasts you for 6 weeks. And, that way you're going to reduce the population. When you reduce the population, you reduce the threat that's coming against you, and you should have things a lot better. So that's kind of my take on it. The other thing is, if you're in the urban center, gangs, convicts, all these people, they're going to be roadblocks. You're trying to get out is going to be very restricted. You're going to have a very limited time that you can get out. So get out as quickly as you can. Those of us who live on the edges of suburbia, or in suburbia, or even in rural areas will probably have it a little bit better. Now, I think, this is my personal opinion, for what it's worth, I think I'll have it better than the rural areas, because I think everybody will want to be going to the rural areas, and they'll just bypass the suburbia. Okay, so they'll come by me, walk right by me, and they're going to go to one of the 3 farms down the road. That's my opinion, because we're going to think it's going to be safe there, further away from the urban centers, all that kinds of stuff. Food, farming, animals, everything is going to be out there in those rural areas in comparison to a suburban or urban area. So I think I'm going to be fairly safe here, especially with my group. But the good news is, John next doors, he and I were together, and then he passed away about 5 years ago. His wife was having a real rough time with it, and then she had to leave the house for a while just to get her back to normal. And I saw her at the post office last weekend, and she's moving back in. So she left her mother and her daughter in the house. I haven't talked to her daughter at all about what we do. But Kelly's moving back in, and she said, "Hey, let's get together and let's talk, because I know what you and my husband are doing, and that's what we need to continue to do." So now I've got 2 houses right here together, and I've got 3 more over here, and I got the guy across the street. So we've got this nice little enclave here, and then I'm bringing in more people. So I think we'll be okay. But just remember, everything has an advantage. Everything has a disadvantage. Every time you talk about something that's going to be great, great to have numbers. Now you have more trash. You have more human waste. You have more water consumption. You have more food consumption. You have interaction problems. Fish and friends stink after 3 days. Well, if you've got 10 people inside one house, you're going to stink after about 3 hours, let alone 3 days. So make sure that you've got, how are we going to interact with each other, and how are we going to intermingle? Of the people I have invited, all but 4 are Catholic. So we have our same prayer habits. We have our things that we do, and I've chosen people that I know have good moral practices and everything else. So I think we'll be okay there. The one guy, I have invited one guy, he's Church of Christ. Is it Church of Christ? I forget. But anyhow, and I told them, no religious arguments whatsoever. This is the way it's going to be, and you accept that, and you can believe what you want to believe. You can pray the way you want to pray. You don't have to participate with us. All I ask is that you respect us and respect our rights to worship the way we want to. We will reciprocate. You can worship the way you want to, and we are not going to bother you about that. So the best thing there is just, you have your practices, we have ours. We're not going to force you. You don't force us. So hopefully that'll stop that problem. Okay, so questions or comments? Let me get my glasses on and read where we are. Patty's Garden. I have siblings nearby, but none of them are interested in prepping. I don't think I could protect my 87-year-old mother, or she would have to go to my brothers. Maybe now's the time to make that plan. And depending upon where you are, then let me know. We can get you down here. Remember when the Summer of Love was going on? We had militias up on my mountain making a game plan to block the roads to prevent the bad people from coming in. Absolutely. They're going to be in abundance. I was interested in joining one group until I found out that it was a militia, and then I just kind of backed off. I'm not interested in people whose primary thing is militaristic. I think, I want to rebuild society in a more positive way. But we have to get there first. Muskoka Ola, good evening. Okay, you don't have to be the fastest, just faster than the slowest person. That's absolutely correct, Sumi. That's a joke. That there were two traveling salesmen, and their car ran out of gas, and it was evening, and there was a sign that says "Stop," no trespassing, bull. And so one traveling salesman started taking off his dress shoes and putting on his running shoes. He said, "Let's go." And he says, "You think you can outrun that bull?" He says, "I don't have to. I just have to outrun you." So yeah, that's absolutely correct. Everything is comparative. I'm on a cane, Patty's Garden, so I'm there with you, and I am going to be totally incapacitated from this surgery Thursday, so I won't even be able to walk probably for about 3 days. So then it's going to be very, very slow, and I will be on a walker shortly thereafter for a while after that. So yes, I can understand. I can appreciate that. We all have our limitations. Now let's see if we can't find a way to work around those limitations. What can we do? Uh, Theoxorus, yes, absolutely. I saw that too. It was on Facebook. Somebody was selling, and I bought one. I bought a case of the A's, and they haven't come in yet. So I now have one case of A's, one case of B's. The other A's have not yet come in, but hopefully they'll be here shortly. But it's like $45 a case. You are not going to find that kind of price anywhere. If you see this one, I don't know the quality of it. Okay, I don't know the quality, don't know the inspection date or anything else. I just ordered it, and but I think that's going to do us fine. Uh, it's down in the groin area, shenanigans. So that'll be Thursday morning. I'll probably be out of the hospital Friday, and then home Friday. So things should be pretty good. Hopefully, but we're going to find out about. I've got the follow up on my hiatal hernia. Actually, there were two hiatal hernias and a belly button hernia that got operated on a month ago, and so it appears that one of the hiatal hernias is a failure. So I may have one more surgery after this last surgery. It's not pleasant getting old, but it beats the alternative. Okay, so I'm very happy where I am in life. I wish it were better. It's not, but I'm grateful that I'm still here. Like I lost my best friend in December, and he was a year older than I am. So I'm so happy that I'm where I am, and you know, oh my gosh, Pete, unbelievable! That's that's hilarious. Thank you, Tammy. Uh, so anytime I'm still breathing and with my family, that's great. So okay, any questions or comments? Let me check. You go ahead and let's get you to do your comments here. And Lee, are you still doing Thrive Life? Yes, I am. As a matter of fact, I'm letting my consultant status run out. I've had one or two people interested in purchasing. Can you drop your link? Yeah, it's Lee's Prep. Thrive Life. BattlBox.com. So yeah, as a matter of fact, I'm putting in, well, let's go here, Lee's Prep. I'll give you exactly what I'm ordering so far. .thrive, there we go. Don't even have to type it all in. It just goes there. Okay, automatic shipment, delivery. So this month, my order, I did get in my Amazon subscribe and save order came in today. And so now for my monthly delivery service, this is what I'm planning on buying right as of right now. And I'll hit the validate on the 4th. But I've got chopped spinach, a pantry can, instant milk pantry can, diced chicken pantry can, shredded mozzarella cheese pantry can, tomato dices pantry can, sweet cherries pantry can, and a pouch of beef pot roast 3-serving meal. So that's my planned purchase. Let me do this. Let's go here and then I'll. So June specials. So the June specials up to 30% off retail. Mashed potatoes, strawberry slices, sweet corn, diced beef, green beans, diced chicken, instant refried beans, chopped onions, mozzarella cheese, and chopped spinach. Now, when I very first started buying freeze-dried foods, I would get 1 can of instant refried beans, 1 can of flour. That way I could take the flour and make tortillas, okay? So the refried beans plus the tortillas plus chopped onions plus cheddar cheese. I had a bean, cheese, and onion burrito or taco. And I figured that once I got a month's supply of that, then I started expanding into other things. But I started off with refried beans, onions, cheese, and flour. So that was my focus. Okay, let me see. Well, thank you, Felix. And so, yeah, that was supposed to, what happened was I had 2 points where my stomach had come up inside my esophagus. And so that was keeping me from breathing too well, eating too well. I was coughing up. Stuff was coming up like you would not believe. So thank you. Yes. And that's 8 years after the original Nissen fundoplication or hiatal hernia repair. No shenanigans, you're not in trouble. You will find, you attract good people. So you will find good people to help with you. Here's my recommendation to anybody and everybody who is like I am, old, decrepit, probably can't carry your weight. Find something that you do that adds value. Become a radio operator. Get your ham license. Learn radio theory. Operate the radio. Make candles. Do something. Find something that adds value so that you can tell the group, I'm going to add value to your group. I just need a little bit of help. I may not be able to stand guard duty, but I can do other things of value to you. I'm a fantastic cook. I know how to take these freeze-dried things and cans of goods and turn out a fantastic meal. Just make sure you find a way to add value because you do have value. And if you can convince other people of your value, they will value you and they'll take care of you. Let me see. So Shenanigans says, if you want a quick and easy bread, get a can of croissants, open the can, put it on a cookie sheet whole, bake at 350 for 26 minutes. Fantastic. Okay. I think that's going to take care of it for this evening. Next week, we will continue on. Let me see what we're going to do. We did 5 and 6 this week, so I think next week we will start into book 2. So book 2, we're going to talk about, let's do chapters 7 and 8. And that's going to be, so the SHTF, what do I do now? And bugging out. Well, let's go ahead and do chapter 9 as well. And that's finding new members for your retreat. So we'll do 7, 8, and 9 next week. So that's where we are. Don't forget, order this one. The link will be in the show notes. This is going to be our fiction book club for the end of this month. hopefully we'll have volume 4 of John Grammer's book out very soon. Thank you all for being here. Really appreciate you. Triple G, it was great to see you back in town again. Lori Cool, good evening. Thank you. I appreciate that. I need all the prayer I can get. These are challenging times, but we can get through it with each other. So let's take a look at the book of Numbers, chapter 6, verses 24, 25, and 26. And we say, the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord let his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord look upon you kindly and grant you peace. So remember that we're all in this together, so we can get the other side together. Please be kind, polite, and respectful to each other, because togetherness is how we'll get through this. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.